Rum and Coke fans, I'm going to blow your minds today because I got 10 ways to upgrade your favourite drink. A lot of these you may not have thought of before, but I guarantee you've probably never contemplated number 6. So let me dive straight in with my first tip. And this was something that is quite newish to me, probably 6 months to me, and I'd never really contemplated before, but use your favourite cola. Now I say that, you're going to be laughing at me and go, well, I do. I mean, really use your favourite cola. The only way you can do this, and I don't care what you say, I don't care what comes back at me in the comments, the only way you can do this is by doing this in a blind tasting. All right? And I promise you, it might blow your little minds because for years, for decades, for me, I was a Coca-Cola fan. And let's not get into the whole Mexican cola debate versus in any of that malarkey. I'm just talking Coca-Cola. I think in the UK, I think actually we do get the same Coca-Cola as Mexican cola, but that's even a different, irrelevant story. I've been a Coke fan most of my life. In latter years, I went on to Coke Zero. I swore by Coke Zero because it didn't make me burp as much. There was less sugar in it, so kind of stuck there. But I thought I would do a blind tasting. And there's a reason. I'll be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of Diet Pepsi for all those years. I kind of stayed away from it. You know, it's probably my least favourite cola out of all, excluding Fever Tree. Fever Tree cola is nasty, you know. But, you know, if you like it, if that's your favourite in a blind tasting, you do you. But my whole point was I did this blind tasting with Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, with Pepsi, Pepsi Max, Diet Pepsi, Fever Tree, I forget what the other one was, Fentimans, and there was a couple more. And 9 times out of 10, all different rums, the lime test as well, but different rums, white rums, dark rums, aged rums. Blind tasting, I was continuously surprised with how well that does. There's something for me that just works amazingly well from Diet Pepsi with rum. So don't just naturally assume that you already do use your favourite cola. I challenge you to do a blind tasting. If it's the same after a blind tasting, fine. But if you change your minds, let me know in the comments below. Now the second easy and obvious way to upgrade your rum and coke is with ice. Now there's a whole reason why us bartenders will load a glass up with ice. Don't be scared of ice unless you have got really sensitive teeth, and that's, you know, use a better toothpaste. I'm just putting that out there. But if you've got if you've got really sensitive teeth, I kind of understand it. I kind of get it. But many people kind of veer or get away from using loads of ice because they think it waters their drink down. And I promise you, it is completely and utterly the opposite. The more ice you have in your glass, the colder your drink stays for longer. Therefore, the less dilution you get. 2 cubes, 1 cube of ice in there, that'll melt into water and you'll have a watered down rum and coke. All right, I know the comments are going to come back, oh, I drink mine too quickly. All right, yeah, fair play, you might do that. But if you like to savour your drink over 15, 20 minutes, loads of ice in your glass, the ice will stay properly frozen, properly sort of cold, and therefore you will have less dilution in there. The best way to describe it is if you go to a pub or a bar or anything like that and you start to get this layer of water sort of separating down the bottom, it's because your ice is melting. So that's why most bartenders will use a ton of ice in a drink. It's not because we want to water your cocktails down or your drinks down, it's because we want you to have less watered down drinks. So the more ice, the better. Now, tip number 3 for upgrading your rum and coke. I'm sorry, the first sort of 2 or 3 are a little bit boring to you experienced drinkers, but I guarantee there'll be some people who hadn't thought of all this. But the next one is lime. A couple of wedges of lime in your rum and coke kind of takes it to Cupra Libre, let's be honest. Probably a bit more lime than that in a Cupra Libre. But to a lot of people, lime in coke just tastes amazing. I'll be honest, it's not really for me. I'm not a huge, again, I've done a video on this, I've done a blind tasting on this, so I know for a fact that lime in a rum and coke is not for me. But if you've never done it in a blind tasting, I challenge you again, do it in a blind tasting, see what you prefer. You could argue that you'd easily taste the lime in a blind tasting, but do it and see what comes back with. But a couple of squeezes of lime in there will enhance, for a lot of you, will enhance your rum and coke. Now, the next method, tip number 4, I am actually a huge fan of, and this was kind of, I found this by spiced rum, but does actually work with quite a few rums as well, like proper rums. And that, boys and girls, is a wedge of orange. There is something about orange in a rum and coke that just works. As I say, works really, really well with spiced rum. In fact, Puss is gunpowder proof with coke, and orange is one of the best rum and cokes, spiced rum and cokes you will ever taste. But that wedge of orange squeezed in there just gives you a whole different dimension, and I promise you it does work. Now, tip number 5, before we dive down the really cool, fun and quirky stuff, tip number 5 is actually flip up to a flavoured Coke. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have any here. I've flashed them up on screen, and they've never really been my thing as a rum and Coke. However, individually, I do kind of like them. So obviously, I'm talking about vanilla Coke. I'm talking about cherry Coke. Coca-Cola kind of releases like seasonal things, like I did a cinnamon cola at Christmas, for example. I've seen mango Coke, I've seen raspberry Coke. You know, try all those. And that's not forgetting Pepsi. My 2 favourites from Pepsi were Pepsi, I think it was Diet Pepsi with lime, but then Pepsi Max with ginger. Both of those worked really, really well. So don't think that you have to stick to main Coke. Don't forget all those flavours that I mentioned, maybe not mango. I wasn't a huge fan of Coke with mango, I'll be honest, and Coke with raspberry, and Coke, there was Diet Coke with strawberry as well, I do believe. I'm not a huge of the fruity ones, but stuff like the cinnamon, the ginger, the lime, the vanilla and the cherry, they do work really well with rum. So here we go. Tip number 6, which I think not many people will have thought of or comprehended, but I promise you it really does work. And that is playing around with 2 rums in your drink. Most people would just pour a rum and a Coke or cola, I should say. But if you start to play around with 2 different rums, the fun that can be had then. For example, I openly kind of say a lot of the time, I go one of 2 ways. I'm either a dark rum fan or a light rum fan, white rum, essentially. I don't really go a bundle on gold rums, aged rums, if you like, in rum and cokes. My palate is very firmly on that kind of stuff. Or my favourite, Cornish Rose Mullion Dark. I flipping adore those in a rum and coke. Now, what you can do to make these even more quirkier is, for instance, you can use a bit of the OFTD with another one of my favourites. This is a column still, but this is Guatemala and Belize. Those 2 together work amazingly well. Now, if I'm sticking to the plantation bandwagon, another thing you could do, which again works really, really well, is a kind of blend of Jamaican rum, maybe with a dark rum like OFTD or something like that. You could go Smith and Cross and a darker rum. Just have a little play about with a 2 rum and cola, and let me know in the comments below what you think. What 2 rums would you use? And just while I'm putting these away, one thought that did come into my mind that I have done. If you love simple, faff-free cocktails, highballs, then look no further than Stratford Soda. They are perfect. I'm on a mission to get them stocked in every single pub and bar up and down the UK, but I'm also on a mission to get them in every home of all you rum lovers as well. Low in sugar, low in carbonation, maximum flavour because they're made with natural fruit juice as well. We're giving you 50% off your very first order of taster packs and party packs. There's a link in the description below that will auto populate at checkout. Long daiquiri, pineapple and coconut, blackberry and rose, cinnamon and ginger. Today's highball, today's simple mixed drink, I've just literally mixed Plantation 3 stars with the citrus and ODK's blood orange, little squirt of blood orange, and I've got like a blood orange long daiquiri. It's flipping delicious. Is, if I can find it, is it that one? The Plantation, the Stiggins Fancy. Pineapple rum with a little bit of Jamaican rum, so 30ml of each, 25ml of each, whatever you're doing. Those 2 side by side would make a banging rum and cola. Now, tip number 7 is to play about with bitters. Why does no one think to add bitters to their rum and cola? It just works amazingly well. You kind of don't add sweetness, but you add a little bit of sort of balance of flavour, which is amazing. Depending on how much bitters you use, you can go from one extreme to the other. But these are just 5 that I've picked out here. You could also go aromatic or Angostura to give a bit of spice, but I'll come on to that in a second. But the 5 I've picked out here from Miss Betty's Bitters: lime leaf bitters, the orange bitters, they should be smoke and oak. Remember, Coca-Cola did do one of those signature smoky colas, things like that. You know, that was probably one of the better ones out of that Coca-Cola signature range. So we've got smoke and oak there. We've got Cafe Madras, coffee, bit of chocolate in there. Coffee I'll come on to in a second. But then banana and bergamot. A little dash of those in your rum and cola and you are well away. Something a little bit quirky just to kind of mix it up from your boring old, same old, week in, week out rum and coke. Now tip number 8, again, another one, this is going to blow your little minds as well. Aromatic bitters or Angostura bitters. They aren't my Angostura bitters, so I haven't got the bottle here. I've got them in a Japanese dash bottle. Aromatic bitters, wait for it, and an orange liqueur like that, or basically an orange rum liqueur. Note that the Compañero will now be Jamaican. This is the old bottle. I've tasted the Jamaican now, really, really good. Or Clement Creole Shrub. Basically, like 45ml of your rum, 15ml of an orange liqueur, and a dash of aromatic bitters, and you've kind of put an orangey twist. You could, I suppose, use Cointreau or Grand Marnier if you're that way inclined, if you haven't got those. But a nice, vibrant orange liqueur with a dash of bitters in your rum and cola. Amazing, because it gives you that orange wedge on steroids. Now, tip number 9, again, this stems from my early pub days, because one of the big drinks back then, like 95, 96, was Tia Maria and Coke. Tia Maria and Coke was a huge serve. Coffee and cola, it works really well. So what is better? Adding, again, as per the last cocktail, as per the last one with the orange, 45ml of your rum and say 15ml of your favourite coffee liqueur. Whether it's something like this, Mr. Black, which is not as sweet, whether you go Tia Maria or Kahlua or some of the other coffee liqueurs out there. Hang on, I was looking for it, it's right in my face. Aluna would be the better one to go there, wouldn't it? Aluna coffee, sort of coffee liqueur at the base of that, coffee, coconut rum at the base of that, sorry, but very much coffee forward. That and your rum, amazing. Now for tip number 10, let's get real here for a second. Let's be brutally honest, because while the rum and coke is delicious, the daiquiri is even better. But what's better than a daiquiri? A cola daiquiri. Oh my word, there is a couple of different ways you can do this. I simply go down using my favourite white rum, unaged rum, lime and sugar. And as you'll see here, I've got cola bitters. So a couple of pipettes in there, absolutely delicious. Or there are brands like William Fox, for instance, that do a cola syrup. So you can simply swap your sugar syrup for a cola syrup. But oh my God, this is tasty. It tastes just like a citrusy rum and coke. You do not mistake that's coke in there. That is so good.